Hello and welcome to Bible Study with Alice, and today we're on day 1, Proverbs 1 of our daily Proverbs reading. We're reading from the ESV translation, but you're more than welcome to join us from a different translation. As you can see, we are now moved into the book of Proverbs, and these videos are filmed in real time. Today's date is the 1st of April 25 and we're on a Tuesday. And we are now moving into a new book. For those who have been following me will know we've been doing a daily psalm reading. And now we're doing the book of Proverbs. And it will follow the same concept of it'll be one proverb a day. Unless we get to a point where we're going to double up. But I'll let you know when that happens. It doesn't happen often, but if it does happen, I'll let you know when it does happen. And it will pretty much be the same concept where I read the proverb. I got Psalms in my head still. Where we read the proverb and then I'll talk about, in this case, I will talk about the book of Proverbs, and then we will talk about the proverb that we've read. We'll obviously talk about the time period, the author and all that as well. It's going to be a bit different. I have to admit, I'm actually a bit like all over the place because I keep thinking Psalms, and because we've been doing that for such a long time, trying to get my mind into the book of Proverbs is interesting. But as I said, it will follow the same concept. So everything is the same. I'm still the same. I'll still guide you, because I don't like the whole concept of being a teacher. I'm more of a guide, not a teacher. I don't like to see myself as that. I'll guide you through the book of Proverbs as I have done with the book of Psalms. And also, there will be a new playlist created. So all the Proverbs will be put into the daily Proverb playlist. And once we fill that up, we just go on to the next book in the Bible. So basically, we're doing it a bit different, but I wouldn't normally recommend starting in the book of Psalms, but for people who don't really understand the Bible, I always like to say go with the bits that are actually easier instead of going for Genesis. Now, Genesis has its purpose of being the start of the Bible, but for this purpose, we just like to spice things up. And I'm somebody who spices things up, so that's why we've done Psalms to begin with, Proverbs next. There's no actual reason behind it, apart from it's easier to study, is what I believe. That's just my personal belief. I believe it's easier to study it that way. So, as usual, there is a disclaimer, and that is one, these videos are unedited, and also I probably stumble my word in. Let's get started. Just have to lift this up a bit. So, it says, for the introduction to Proverbs, see page 1051. So we will do that. This video is going to be quite a long video because we're getting into a new book, but you kind of get the idea of how these videos generally work on. So, Proverbs is right at the very top. So, Proverbs, practical wisdom for living, is the central concern of the book of Proverbs. We are told that the beginning and essence of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, and that is in chapter 1, verse 7, and then 9 and 10. Proverbs often contrast the benefit of seeking wisdom and the pitfalls of living a form life. While the wicked stumble in darkness, you can find that in 4:19, the path of righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until the full day, verse 18. Proverbs is a collection of Israelite wisdom literature, including an introductory section, which is there, 1 to 9, that gives readers a framework for understanding the rest of the book. The book includes work of various authors, but much of it is attributed to King Solomon, and it dates between the 10th and the 6th century. So, now we're going to go back to Proverbs. And then trying to find Proverbs. I should have really put my bookmark back in. It's fine. There we are. Back at Proverbs. So, the beginning of knowledge. The proverb of Solomon, a son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to understand word of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and iniquity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of wise and their riddles, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. The enticement of sinners. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, forsake not your mother's teachings, for they are graceful garland for your head, and the pendants for your neck. My son, if sin entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious goods. We shall fill our house with plunder. Throw in your lot among us. We will all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set ambush their own lives. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessors. The call of wisdom. Wisdom cries aloud in the streets. In the market she raises her voice. At the end of the noisy street she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates she speaks. How long, O simple one, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scofferings, and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you, because I have called and you refuse to listen. I have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel, and would have none of my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you, Then terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind. When distress and anguish comes upon you, then they call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of the Lord, and would have none of my counsel, and despised all my reproof. Therefore they shall eat the fruit of their ways, and have their fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away, and the complacency of fools destroy them. Just go wait for my camera. But whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will be at ease without dread of disaster. So that is Proverbs 1 complete. Tomorrow we'll be doing Proverbs 2, and it won't be so long of a video. I'm aware that this video is going to be quite a long one, but with any new book, it's best to have a longer start video, and then we get an idea of everything that we need to know about the book in particular. So, King Solomon, with sections also attributed to Agir and Lemuel, between the 10th and the 6th centuries. It's also a book of Jewish wisdom and wisdom literature. Also, it's a book of Jewish wisdom literature. I probably just said that. Originally composed in Hebrew, Proverbs was composed for the education of Jewish readers. So those are the original audience of the book. So the author would be King Solomon, and then there's obviously Agir and Lemuel, and the original audience would be young Jewish readers, and it's basically a book of Jewish wisdom. So when we look at the book of Proverbs, all 31 Proverbs are Jewish wisdom literature. So it obviously, back in that time period, it was obviously Jewish was the main religion of the time, and Jewish young people would come to read Proverbs, come to understand Proverbs, to gain wisdom and understanding of what they want to do to become what we're going to get to next. So the original audience of the book of Proverbs was primarily young men of Israel transitioning into adulthood and preparing for leadership, though it can also include parents seeking wisdom. So, as I was saying, the original audience were young Jewish men who were obviously going into adulthood, and as they were transitioning into adulthood, they needed to be able to understand how things need to become, and understand how trying to think here. Sorry, how to transition into adulthood, how to become good young men, basically, how to be good husbands, fathers, leaders, that sort of thing, basically. And as it said at the bottom there here, about that you can also include parents seeking wisdom, which obviously goes back to what I just said, that it's for young men, preparing for adulthood, and how to become good husbands, good fathers, which is obviously fathers being a parent. So they're seeking that wisdom. And so that's basically the concept of the Proverbs. So Proverbs 1, so what we just read. So obviously this bit here is like an overview of the book of Proverbs. So we just discussed the overview of the book of Proverbs. So with Proverbs 1, it was written by King Solomon during his reign, which is around about 970 and 931 BC. And it sets the stage for the entire book. So Proverbs 1 is a very important proverb because it kind of then gives you an idea of what we're going to read about when we get into the book of Proverbs. Because obviously this is just the first proverb. There's obviously, as I said, 31 in the book of Proverbs. So this particular proverb is actually setting the stage for the whole entire book, which is obviously very, we need to be able to understand what we're going to be learning about, what we're going to be understanding about. It emphasizing the pursuit of wisdom, knowledge and understanding, and highlighting the fear of the Lord. So it's obviously a very important proverb, this one is. It obviously, as I said, it sets the stage. It emphasizes the pursuit of wisdom, knowledge and understanding, and highlighting the fear of the Lord. Obviously, that's the main point of the book of Proverbs is fear of the Lord. And we just need to, when we look at it in everyday life, in our everyday circumstances, as I said with the book of Psalms, we can actually consider that into our own life, basically. That's what I'm trying to get to. And we can kind of go to a psalm in the book of Psalms and relay that as part of our own life when we're having a bit of issues going on. It's the same with the book of Proverbs. We can actually look in the book of Proverbs and seek out wisdom from that. If we really in need of wisdom for some particular reason, something's happened in our life and we just feel like we just need that little bit of wisdom, from the Lord, we can just go to a proverb and it will give us the information that we need to know in that time of our need. So it can actually be case in point of like the original audience of the book, which was obviously young men. I mean, okay, not everybody who watches this are men, and we're not going into the whole thing of gender, but there's young men, young women, whoever wants wisdom from the book of Proverbs can get that from the book of Proverbs. They can get that regardless of whatever. Even though obviously the original audience were for young men, you can relay that into your own life. You might not even be a young person, you might be an older person. So it doesn't really matter, in all fairness. The original audience for this were young men, but you could be a 70-year-old person looking into the book of Proverbs and gaining wisdom and understanding and knowledge and seeking out that. So regardless of age, it doesn't matter. Take what you want from it. It is quite a useful book to read, and you will get some kind of knowledge from it. So with Proverbs 1, it is basically just setting the stage for it all. So as I said, it's going to be a very long video. I do apologise. So I am going to write in the day and the date. So we're on day, I'm going to write it down here. So on day 1, and we're on the 1st of the 4th, 2, 5. There you go. So thank you for watching. So you can see it a bit better. Thank you for watching. Please like my content. I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. Please turn on the notification bell so you can get notified of content like this, and please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it if you could do all 3. and tomorrow we will be doing Proverbs 2. Thank you for watching and goodbye.